By now, all of you have heard Kevin McCarthy, the House Minority Leader, the Republican fool who just likes to kneel to Donald Trump, is now against the 9/11 style commission looking into the January 6th attack on the Capitol. I'll give you my theories as to why in a few moments, but here's the statement he gave, and I quote, "Given the political misdirections that have marred this process, given the now duplicative and political corruptive counterproductive nature of this effort, and given to the speaker's," now she's talking about the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, "given the speaker's short-sightedness scope that does not examine the forms of political violence in America, I cannot support this legislation." Short-sightedness into the scope, not to examine other forms of political violence in America. Let's talk about those instances that McCarthy's talking about. Apparently, he's talking about these situations. He argued that the bill ignores, this is him talking, ignores the political violence that struck America's cities. He's talking about the protests that happened last summer, in the wake of the videotape of George Floyd being murdered. Obviously, he wants that to be included in this commission too, which has absolutely nothing to do with what happened in the attack of the Capitol. The second thing he says, he argued that the bill ignores the political violence in the American cities. He talks about the Republican congressional baseball practice, the shooting that took place 3 years ago. 3 years ago, that shooting that took place in which people were injured, and a black cop stopped it. And most recently, the deadly attack on the Capitol Police on April 2nd, 2021. Now, he's referring to the instance that the man drove into the Capitol Police barricade at the Capitol building itself. Now, this is about January the 6th. This is about January 6th, 2021. The attack on the United States Capitol that Donald Trump and other Republicans pushed because Donald Trump lost the election. More on that in a few moments. But here's the meat of the commission that would have investigated this, and still might investigate this, because McCarthy's just one person and still has to go through the House and still has to go through the Senate. Here's the point. The legislation, and now I'm reading this directly from an MSNBC report on this commission. The legislation is the product of compromise announced Friday by the top Democrat and Republican on the House Homeland Security Committee, Representative Bernie Thompson, a Democrat from Mississippi, and John Cato, Republican of New York, who reached the deal on the guidelines for the panel to model it after the 9/11 Commission. So you've got bipartisanship. You got two people who agreed to this, both Republican and Democrat, in the House Homeland Security Committee. So what's the problem? Here are the rules. Under the bill, the commission would include 5 members, including a chair, appointed by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Now, maybe that's what the problem is with them, because in this particular case, the House Representative and the Senate Majority Leader happen to be Democrat. Maybe that's their problem. And moving on, another 5, including a vice chair appointed by McCarthy, the idiot who doesn't want this to happen, and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Now, here's the thing that a lot of people are skipping over on this. The commissioners will have to have, quoting directly from the bill, significant experience in the areas of law enforcement, civil rights, civil liberty, privacy, intelligence, and cybersecurity, and current government officers and or employees are prohibited from the appointment, the announcement said. Now, that would mean that people on both sides, Republicans and Democrats, can't be on this panel from the Senate or Congress. So this is completely nonpartisan. What is the problem with this? But here's the real problem. The commission will also have the authority to issue subpoenas to secure information to carry out its investigation. But that will require agreement between the chair and the vice chair or a vote by a majority of the commission members. I think that's the problem right there. The subpoena, the issue subpoenas to secure information to carry out its investigation. And we know who those subpoenas are going to go to. Now, real quickly, I want to show you a video, and I posted this video months ago, from people who actually supported or even pushed what happened on January 6th, going all the way back to Election Day in 2020 in November, all the way to January 6th. And some of the names you're going to recognize. For one thing, McCarthy for one, Trump's family for two, a lot of Congress and senators, especially Ted Cruz, Jim Jordan, and especially Donald John Trump. Take a look at this.
For the White House is now a full-fledged struggle for the survival of this constitutional republic.
We, the people, are in control of the United States, and we will take our rights back.
74 million Americans are not going to shut up.
This is about taking a stand where you can take a stand.
We need to fight back. We win because of our ideas. We lose elections because they cheat us.
We're going to keep fighting until every illegal vote is thrown out.
They rigged the election in front of all of us, and nobody did anything about it.
Call your congressman and feel free to, you can lightly threaten them. If you don't start supporting election integrity, I'm coming after you, Madison Cawthorn's coming after you, everybody's coming after you.
We're not timid folk. We're people who understand when there's a challenge in front of us, we rise to the challenge. We fight, finish, keep.
It is time to stand and fight. The swamp isn't truly drained until we've nailed the hides of the alligators to the wall.
We need to fight back. We need to strike at the heart of their power. We need to show that the next revolution is just getting started.
The ruling would be that you got to go to the streets and be as violent as Antifa and BLM.
Will we stand up for freedom as Samuel Adams and his fellow patriots did?
If we don't fight on January 6th on the floor of the Senate and the House, that is the joint meeting of Congress, on these electors, we're done. It's time for everybody to stand up and be heard.
President Trump won this election, so everyone who's listening, do not be quiet. We cannot allow this to happen before our very eyes.
Liberty-loving patriots that will not let them steal this election.
We have to fight this out for the American people. This is our 1776 moment.
Get it right. They stole it. We need to take it back for the people.
It's time for conservatives to show that backbone.
Republicans, grow a backbone and fight. We are in this fight to the bitter end. We are going to take our country back.
We need to march on the Capitol today, and we need to stand up for this country.
We're fighting for the future of this country.
We're going to keep fighting. I implore you to keep fighting too.
Freedom isn't cheap, but you know what? Imagine this, that you get to go back home once you conquer the hill.
Patriots here ready to fight, certainly have the back of the president. If you're going to be the zero and not the hero, we're coming for you, and we're going to have a good time doing it. Don't be suppressed. Don't be put in your corner.
We will not go quietly into the night. We will defend liberty.
Today is the day American patriots start taking down names and kicking ass.
Let's have trial by combat.
They're not taking this White House. We're going to fight like hell, I'll tell you right now. We're going to the Capitol. You'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and we're going to have to fight much harder. We fight like hell, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Now, a guy who decided to debate one of my friends, let's just call him Mr. Fish, for lack of personality. Anyway, he says he's against this commission because it's too partisan. I just read you the rules calling it nonpartisan. Maybe it's because the people, the chair and everyone else is going to be selected by Pelosi and Schumer. Maybe that's what the problem is. Or maybe it's because he doesn't like the idea that his man Trump probably might be called under subpoena to testify in this commission. But the fact of the matter is this commission needs to happen. This investigation needs to be pushed forward. And more importantly, this commission needs to be focused only on what happened on January 6th. What happened last summer was last summer. It deserves its own investigation. We're talking about something that nearly destroyed our democracy. We're talking about something that nearly destroyed our faith in our elections because people want to believe a lie. And the only terrorists I saw on January 6th wore the red hats, waved Trump's flags, saying Trump 2020, who carried white supremacist flags and marched around inside the Capitol with the Confederate flag. Now this guy, Mr. Fish, wants to try to blame BLM and Antifa for this. There is absolutely, positively no evidence whatsoever that BLM had anything to do with this. There is too much evidence to suggest that Trump had Trumpers and Trump himself, not to mention the people you just saw in the video I just showed you, had everything to do with what happened on January 6th. And every single one of them, if this commission goes through, and I pray that God does, every single one of them need to be subpoenaed and questioned by that commission. Because quite honestly, if we don't stop this here and now, something like this might happen again. If an election result doesn't meet with the approval of anyone on both sides, on either side, Republicans and Democrats, something like this could happen again. And the more I think about this, the more I wonder, is this going to be what ends this country? Is it going to end equal rights in this nation? Is it going to end this country completely? And honestly, the people who are against this commission, against investigating what happened on January 6th, are the guys who want to burn it all down and blame the other guy for it. Well, that's not what we do in this country. That's not who we are in this country. Now, we're going to investigate this, whether you guys like it or not, if Mr. Fish doesn't like it or not. Because quite honestly, if we don't stop this here and now, the next election is going to happen again, and the next, regardless of what side you're on, regardless if you claim to be Democrat or Republican, liberal or conservative. In the end of the day, it's one party that's doing all the damage. We have more things to worry about in this country than whether or not this idiot who wants to scream, hoof, holler, and cry because he didn't win an election, and his supporters want to scream, hoof, holler, and cry, and possibly kill because they didn't win an election. Their man didn't win an election. Silence is what's killing this country. The maxim of the law is qui not conciteri. Those who are silent give consent. We are not going to be silent about this until a full accountability is given to the people responsible for January 6th. I don't give a damn if you were just walking through the Capitol, just waving, giving a small selfie, or if you're one of the assholes who broke into the Senate chamber, ruffling through papers, trying to figure out who was loyal to Trump and who wasn't, and threatening to kill anyone who wasn't loyal to Trump. You forget the fact that a lot of these people were calling to hang Mike Pence. A lot of these people were running through papers saying, yeah, he's loyal, Yeah, he's loyal to Trump. We can trust him. Don't forget the fact that these people were looking to kill members of Congress and the Senate if they didn't support Trump. And that is where everyone is forgetting about. Now, McCarthy, he can kiss Donald Trump's ass all he wants. He is not going to get away with it. If and when this commission meets, and it does have this power to subpoena people, Leader McCarthy is going to be #1 on my list. Because let's not forget, you have phone call McCarthy with Donald Trump to try and find a way to stop this. So you got a chance to either save or destroy yourself. And frankly, you want to destroy yourself. Well, we're going to help you destroy yourself, boy. You destroyed your career already. Now it's time to put the final bullet to your career. All for the sake of Donald Trump. And for the rest of you who are in this video, I don't care if you're newscasters from Fox News, you're senators, you're Trump's kids, you're Trump himself, you're all going to be held responsible for what happened on January 6th because you all pushed it. And McCarthy, you're numero uno on my list. Get your bags packed, son, because you're going to be looking for another job. And for your sake, you better hope it's not a job in federal prison alongside Trump, McCarthy, Rudy Giuliani, and the rest of those clowns that pushed us to this point. You're responsible, and you're going to be held responsible, and you're going to be called to account, and it's going to be over. And we are going to repair the damage that you people have done to this country, to our elections, to our rights. And it will happen. And as for Mr. Fish, you can cry all you want about this commission. It's going to happen. You can cry all you want about BLM, what happened last year. That was that. This is this. Get over the fact that justice is going to be done in this country. And I know you hate it. And I know it sticks in your craw. But it will happen. Tick-tock. The gavel is coming down. CTP, know the truth. God bless. Peace to the left. Justice to the right.